Welcome back to the show. Check out these headlines. Oh, Elizabeth Warren's trying to pull a fast one on us, ladies and gentlemen. Ripple partner bullish on XRP. I love it. Pomp says Bitcoin doubled in 15 days, and we could be 50 days away from that happening. We're going to talk about it. We're going to let him tell you about it. SEC versus Ripple. Watch out, ladies and gentlemen. The SEC is acting in bad faith again. We got Stuart Alderati to prove it to us. Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show. You can follow us on Twitter and YouTube for exclusive content. Right now, $2.68 trillion market cap for crypto. The market is up 4.3%, 68,300 plus for Bitcoin, very close to the all-time high for Bitcoin right now. This is why I've been pointing out, and we're at 2.68 trillion market cap. We're almost back to 3+ trillion where we were before the SEC came in and squashed this space. 3,800 plus for Ethereum. We see 100 billion plus for Tether market cap right now. XRP 64 cents, up 16.7, even though it slipped back to the number 7 spot. We'll keep an eye on it. Very quickly, we're ranging between 62 and 66 cents. Let's get into this. 58-day countdown to XRP Las Vegas. And let me tell you something. I just got an update from the Chamber of Digital Commerce. Perry Ann Boring told me the tickets are going fast now because we're starting to close in. Oh, don't get caught. I just don't want to see this happen. It breaks my heart because this is such an incredible opportunity to come together at this conference. And let me tell you, if you want some swag, you can get it with the link underneath this video as well. We have just a few items here anybody can get, and it's great items. Just click the link and get it. The store will be open till April 3rd. So make sure you get your order in before April 3rd because it's not going to last long as a flash store. Now, I am very proud to have been asked to be a part of Fruition Productions' XRP Unleashed documentary. Shout out to Christopher and his wife. I haven't had the pleasure of meeting her yet, and I very much look forward to that at XRP Las Vegas. And they are going to be at XRP Las Vegas, and they are going to allow you guys to tell your story. And you may be selected to be in the documentary too. See, this is what I love. XRP Las Vegas is for you. It's for all of you. What we're doing, my wife and I, with the help of Digital Asset Investor and all the other sponsors that have contributed to be a part of this, is for you. I can't mean that any more than I'm telling it to you right now. And I'm telling you, you are missing an opportunity for yourself to make the investment and get yourself the ticket in the rooms and whatever you need to and get yourself there. You won't believe it. This is not about partying. This ain't about, I'm telling you, this is about being able to get information and face to face with the people that you hear it indirectly from all the time, let alone solidifying those real relationships with people while you're there that you've had for years on social media with people. And I'll tell you something, I have no doubt that the story being told here by Christopher and his wife will be incredible. I have seen enough out of them to know that they are genuine people. They understand exactly what is going on in this space to a very high level. And listen to this clip about how they're bringing the touch to the way to deliver this film and the narrative.
One thing we did with the Dark Knight studio, which is the Batcave, I think in The Dark Knight Rises or Dark Knight, I forget which movie, but it's the Christian Bale movie, you know, and you can see the light panels in the ceiling. That space, you know, that's one of the beauties of Los Angeles is that there's just a little bit of everything here. There's lots of sets, there's lots of places you can go. You know, you can literally find anything you want from any look and feel. So that's one of the benefits of being here in LA for filmmaking, at least. And we wanted to do something, so we have a lot of interviews right now. So we started thinking about visually, how do we open up the documentary and do some big scale explainer sections where we can do some CGI and some overlays. So we rented that facility, and you know, the ceiling can do all kinds of cool stuff.
That was cool.
And we had Molly Elmore and Lewis Jackson there for a day, and we recorded in the space, and it was pretty neat. We fogged it out and did a lot of cool stuff, just like we did with John Deaton, for anybody who saw the trailer. we
Yeah,
had
that was
rented
cool too.
a warehouse and kind of turned that into, ETHgate HQ, and turned it into kind of a crime, kind of a. And the thing is I always think about what's the vibe, what's the kind of energy of that person. So, with John Deaton, he's, a lot of people know his story. He came from Detroit. That's, brick city. So I wanted to find something that was, a lot of brick and kind of industrial looking, yet kind of elevated. So the way his interview looks is sort of like someone elegantly designed a very gritty space. And I think that's a good metaphor for John. And anytime we think about the locations for each individual, we try to, as much as we can, match the personality of those folks into the environment that we're curating for that particular individual.
And let me tell you something, they did it. And they did it, and they're going to continue to do it. And it's so fitting that they're going to bring this thing home at XRP Las Vegas, where they will wrap the filming, and you can be a part of it. I'm so excited for you guys. And by the way, you're going to get to see a nice little trailer on stage too. Write it down. This is going to be so amazing, ladies and gentlemen. I cannot wait to meet every one of you. All right, well, she's at it. Look at this. Elizabeth Warren. You remember, the former President Trump used to call her Pocahontas because she lied about having Native American Indian in her background, in her race. Well, look what she wrote down here after a little investigation of the State Bar of Texas. The registration card here, she wrote down she's American Indian. Well, would you look at that? Warren puts down race for State Bar registration card. Well, they used to call her Pocahontas, but I think a more appropriate name would be Pinocchio. That's where we're at now. Yeah, and that's Deaton for Congress. Matter of fact, I got to fix that really quickly here. Let me fix that. And just like that, I only have one edit feature on my software because that's how I roll. It's that cheap. I have a pause button. There is no editing done on this channel, right? You say it going out. That's where we're at. Right here, Pop's saying it. He's going to tell you, add in a halving in less than 50 days, and it's hard to be bearish on the asset. I want you to take a look at this. In history's past, you're going to hear Pomp tell you how Bitcoin doubled in price in 15 days after a halving. That's what history says. Listen to him tell it to you.
It's basically back to those record highs from a couple of years ago. Joining us now is Anthony Pompliano, a founder of Pomp Investments. And it's kind of a fool's errand to ever try to figure out where Bitcoin is headed. But just in terms of things that are on the horizon, we got the halving coming up. We've had the ETF that was recently, spot ETFs are now becoming more mainstream. And how long has it been? Has it been 2 months? It started maybe a little bit slow, but then it's been like kind of a rocket ship.
If you look over the last 60 days and in the next 60 days, I think there's two big stories. The ETF approvals obviously were a huge deal. BlackRock alone has $11 billion in their ETF. They added $1 billion just in the last day. And so these are massive inflows for just one fund. There's 11 of them. And so obviously there's tons of money coming in, about 12 times more demand for Bitcoin than what the network is producing every single day. But also, as we near this record high, if we go back and we look at past record high breaks, or if we eclipse the old all-time high, 3 of the 4 times Bitcoin doubled in 18 days or less. And so if you think about that for a second, once you break through an all-time high, it's price discovery. What is this thing worth? The world is going to try to figure that out. And 3 of the last 4 times in 18 days or less, it doubled in price. You add in the fact that we have the halving coming, and we're going to go from 900 Bitcoin a day coming into the supply to 450. And it's very hard to make an argument that Bitcoin is not going much higher and at a faster pace than we all expected.
I mean, when you do the math, I feel like I need to say that past results are not indicative necessarily of the future, because it just you sound so, I mean, it just sounds that anyone at home would if they're totally new at this game, they might mortgage their house and put it all in Bitcoin. And there is still risk in the asset, is there not?
I definitely don't think that they should do that, right? If you go and you ask most people in the Bitcoin world, they will tell you higher percentages than you would expect in terms of what they've put in. But I think 1 to 5% for a traditional portfolio ends up making sense.
But you just made a case for going from 70 to 140 in 18 days. I mean, that sounds like things that you hear on TV where you just want to really stay away from.
Bitcoin's up 20% in the last week. It's up 60% in the last month, and it's up 200% in the last year. I'm not saying it's going to 140,000. What I'm saying is 3 of the last 4 times, it doubled in 18 days. And with a halving upon us, it's just hard to not say this is likely to go much, much higher.
And, you know, he's making a great point. If you're just looking at history, it doesn't mean that it will be right. But history is saying that this is what's happened in the past. So it's certainly an indicator, right? We can't know for sure what will happen, but obviously the tea leaves are going in the right direction here. Now let's take a look at this. As Stuart Alderati shows us here, the United States District Court for District of Columbia here, this is the submission of the Securities Exchange Commission versus Binance Holding Limited here, and he's showing this, and then he says, yesterday, the SEC told a judge that she should consider a decision from another court without disclosing that the decision was a default judgment, which means no one showed up to defend itself, and thus the relevant legal issue was never actually litigated. That's bad faith. And you know what? Well, the SEC continues to act in bad faith in the SEC versus Ripple case. We can't forget the companies like Ripple, Grayscale, Coinbase, Debtbox are full of hardworking people who have real families with real bills to pay. I hope Judge Torres punishes the SEC for the damage caused by the SEC's bad faith and unfaithful allegiance to the law, as you remember from the Ripple case. It's horrible. And then going further to describe what that default judgment is like, Stuart Alderati is showing up with some amazing analogies these days, ladies and gentlemen, and I find it to be very bullish from a 35-year plus legal experience chief legal officer at Ripple. He says, relying on a default judgment, which again is a judgment when the other side doesn't show up, right, is like me challenging Conor McGregor to a fight. And when he doesn't show up, I shadow box for a few rounds and then declare myself the champion. Oh, Stuart. Yeah, Stuart's good at this game. Tell you that. Stuart is very good at this game, isn't he? Yeah. And then here, this is building off of the same idea and understanding here as Prosperity Fund shared. Another district court rules secondary sales of crypto on exchange or securities, similar to library ruling, not like Ripple, XRP ruling. Conclusion, SEC will not settle XRP case with Ripple, at least until the Second Circuit possibly rules in Ripple's favor. You know, we have to be concerned that the SEC will do whatever they can to push this thing to the Supreme Court. There's no question. Right? They know that Ripple, regardless of what Brad Garlinghouse said, intend to go public at some point, right? So they're really, really trying to use everything they can to stall them to where they just get frustrated and they choose to want to settle and then pay the price that the SEC probably wants. Yassin Mubarak said here, both Ripple and the SEC will appeal the case to the Second Circuit once the remedy fight is over. Both are convinced they should win the entire case and are willing to risk it all to achieve that objective. We are nowhere near the finish line in this fight as long as Gary Gensler is the SEC chair, and there's no true word spoken. And I want to shout out to my main man, Jimmy Valley, over at Val Hill Capital, Val Hill Advisors, because he says here the SEC is going to use the California Zakanoff class action lawsuit in the same manner. Be wise, XRP community. The subjective choices you make in this coming weeks could define your family and multiple generations. Choose wisely. You know, I think this is absolutely right. You know, what we saw them do just now that Stuart highlighted, we're going to see them try to do with the Zakanoff case as much as possible. It is clear that the SEC does not embarrass very easily, right? And then I want you to listen to this right here. You're going to hear Sergey Nazarov, co-founder of Chainlink, talk very, very articulately about what's coming with the real-world tokenization. Take a listen to this clip.
Institutions, big asset managers, big banks have a deep connection with the real world, right? They have all kinds of assets that they control that are already real world assets, real estate assets, carbon credit assets, equity assets, commodity assets, all kinds of assets. And then you also have a new infrastructure for value, right? Those assets represent value, all the world's value, actually, trillions and trillions of dollars in value. And now you have a new infrastructure, the blockchain and Oracle networks and smart contracts, that allows people to represent value in a very reliable form, in a way that it can move across systems efficiently and securely and reliably, and in a way where it doesn't break and you don't have big information asymmetries. So that's kind of the situation, right? The situation is there's huge amounts of value in institutions, and there's a new technology that allows value to be transacted and moved and managed in a superior way, because it's like going from paper to digital.
That's exactly where we're going. And this is the year that it's really going to start to happen in scale, is what we're hearing from a lot of people. Shout out to Sergey for that clip. Now I want to give this little quick clip here from David Schwartz on Blockstars, and listen to what's said and shared here about real world asset tokenization too. What an incredible year we got, and we've just started the third month here. So this is really getting exciting.
Asset tokenization. I've said that I think it's going to be a driving force in the next year, with things like real estate, commodities, treasuries, bonds, other types of securities being leading use cases. My colleague Marcus Inkbanger predicted that tokenized treasuries could reach $5 billion as businesses recognize the value of having digital tokens versus physical assets. And this could unlock liquidity and open up new avenues for investment, asset management, so on. I'm going to ask you about, I guess I'll start by asking you if I'm crazy.
You're not crazy, because real world assets are already a trend. Where I think you are crazy is houses and real estate, because there are so many more factors there.
Yeah, the regulatory obstacles obviously are, I think there's going to be some place in the world that's going to let that happen. And then of course, if that works out well, but yeah, probably not within a year, right? That's probably, anything that requires regulatory movement is not going to happen quickly. What about institutional adoption of real world asset tokenization?
Yeah, that I see happening on a quicker scale. There's also the difference of, is it a tangible real world asset like a house, or an intangible real world asset like a treasury bond? One is much easier to tokenize than the other, and one already has, like a culture and a market around it of high volume trading where people want to buy and sell these things all the time. So you kind of you don't really have to tell people why they want it. They already want it. And you just get a few more benefits from putting it on chain. So you already see protocols like Maker using it. They do stable coins, and then you have some more like Goldfinch and Centrifuge. I think they've been doing real world assets for a while, but it's already there to a degree. And you mentioned like government bonds. Those are the first kinds of things I'm seeing get a little more adoption.
It's so exciting to me, because what we're seeing right now that's moving the market is the new introduction of these investment products called Bitcoin spot ETFs, right? And I do believe we're going to have thousands of those of crypto ETFs, and we're going to see baskets of it, index funds, ETFs. You're going to see all kinds of products come out of that stuff. And that's exciting, right? And it's more exposure to a whole new sector of investors that aren't just crypto investors, right? So very exciting. And then there's the speculation pouring into the space because of that, right? Awareness of those products being introduced. But this is about where the entire world is going to go. And when they go there, they're going to stay there. Tokenizing all the stocks, all the bonds, high volume already. You don't need to create a market for it. The market's already there, just like the gentleman told David. You just need to make these benefits more easy to feel and move the value by getting these things on chain, which they know, as we all do, is very easy to do once the market infrastructure is in place. Super, super exciting to me. And so is this. And this goes right back to 2022, as you can see this right here. Well, there's a plan to issue sovereign stablecoins by late 2022 based on R3 XRP blockchain. How about that? And that is from Palau. Sovereign stablecoins are based on R3 XRP blockchain. And how many people out here told us that we didn't have the right to talk about that? I want you to remember those people now today. I want you to remember every single one of them. I don't need to say their names. You know who they are. They're bad actors. And I hope that none of you actually made decisions based on those bad actors that said R3 had nothing to do with XRP. You remember them? I remember them because as recently as 2022, this is on. Like Donkey Kong on. Yeah. And Tranglo thinks so too, Ripple partner, as they got a little bullish yesterday, decided to share Dark Defenders chart right here. We know that chart. We know it well, don't we? And they said XRP to reach USD $1? Question mark? Well, we're all bullish too, Tranglo, and in no small part of your contribution to the network and all the other amazing partners and the work that Ripple's doing and the ecosystem as a whole. What a beautiful place. It's inspired me and my wife to create XRP Las Vegas, and I hope that you will join us there to find out all the amazing things that we have lined up for you. We are laying out the agenda now, and I can tell you the panels are absolute straight fire. Make sure you get your ticket and join us inside the Freedom Zone as well. It's not financial advice from me or anyone else, but we're getting ready to get into it, and we're going to talk about the T word. You know what the T word is? Treason. And we're going to talk about it inside the Freedom Zone. Digperspectives.com. Come on in. All right.